One of the problems with recruiting for investment banking is not the knowledge or skills you acquire, but the access to talk with real investment bankers to put your best foot forward. Our sponsor, WSO Academy, can provide those connections with 60 head mentors who are finance professionals at top firms like Goldman, Centerview, and JP Morgan. Imagine being able to get on the phone within 24 hours with one of the Academy's 1,300 mentors right before a critical interview. Get on the waitlist for WSO Academy today by clicking the link in the show notes or by visiting wallstreetoasis.com/academy. All right. Welcome to Investment Banking Insights. My name is Alex Mason and I am your host. Thank you so much for joining me. This is the show dedicated to helping you learn both the technical and non-technical aspects of the investment banking recruiting process. And look, I'm going through this journey here with you. I'm an incoming MBA student myself. And yeah, I'm just having fun learning all these things. And I thought, hey, why don't I share this with the world? So I'm just really grateful that you're here. And we're talking a lot about enterprise value, equity value, those types of questions. We just went through a detailed example related to convertible bonds. And I thought that was kind of a cool example. So check that out if you haven't already listened. But now we're going to talk about something more conceptual, just something fundamental related to equity value. And that is this question: what is the difference between equity value and shareholders' equity? What is the difference? I mean, they both have the word equity in it, right? So are they the same thing? Well, the reality is they're related concepts, but they're different. And so I want to talk about the definitions of these things right now to help clear up any confusion and help you really solidify that understanding of the difference between these two terms. First of all, what is equity value? Let's look at the basic definition. Equity value is the value of the ownership of the company that's attributed to the common stockholders. So it's the ownership attributable to the common stockholders. And how would we calculate this? Well, we've been talking a lot recently about shares outstanding. And this is part of the equation in order to understand equity value. If we take the shares outstanding of a company and multiply it by the share price, that equals equity value. And this is something that's dictated by the market in the case of a publicly traded firm. If I'm just going to make this up, but if Apple is trading at $100 per share and it has 10 shares outstanding, then the market value is $1,000. Now, of course, it's more like in the trillions of dollars, but you get the idea. Shares outstanding multiplied by the share price, that's what equity value is. Now, what is shareholders' equity? Shareholders' equity, remember we talked about this. It's actually on the balance sheet. Remember, the balance sheet has these three sections: assets, liabilities, and shareholders' equity. So it's a part of the balance sheet. It tells us part of the story of this company. And shareholders' equity has an equation defining it as well. It's very simply the assets of the company minus the liabilities of the company, and that equals shareholders' equity. And we talked about this several episodes ago when we looked at the basic equation of accounting, which if you just rearrange that formula a little bit, assets equals liabilities plus shareholders' equity. So in this case, shareholders' equity equals assets minus liabilities. The way that I like to think about this is it represents the net worth or the book value of the business, irrespective of whatever the market is doing. So it's focused specifically on assets and liabilities. And another way to look at the differences between these two terms is we can think about positive and negative aspects. So in terms of equity value, that number is dictated by the market and the number of shares outstanding. Therefore, equity value can never be negative. I mean, you can only ever have one share of a company or more, and the share price can never be below $0.00. That's just impossible. So if you have a positive number multiplied by a positive number, you're always going to get a positive number. Therefore, equity value can never be negative. Now, contrast this with shareholders' equity. Remember, this represents the net worth net worth or the book value of the company, shareholders' equity actually can be negative. Imagine a scenario where a business's liabilities far exceed its assets. Well, then it has negative shareholders' equity. And we'll talk more about what the implications are of a company with negative shareholders' equity in a future episode. We'll delve a little bit more deeply into that. But the main thing I want you to understand now is that shareholders' equity can be negative, but equity value can never be negative. And that's because shareholders' equity is tied directly to the balance sheet, whereas equity value re- relates directly to how the market is valuing company, relates directly to the share price multiplied by shares outstanding. So that's the fundamental difference. What we're going to be doing next, I am so excited because we're moving into a new topic here. We're going to be talking about valuation and the basics behind that. So if you've listened so far through this entire series, congratulations. We've now talked about pretty much all of the basic questions related to equity and enterprise value. And we're going to be coming back to this topic in future episodes, looking at some more advanced concepts. But hey, we've gone through a lot together, and I'm just really excited, and I want to congratulate you for making it this far. So now we're going to be talking about valuation, and the next episode will focus on the 3 major valuation methodologies. All right, that's it for today. I'll see you over there. This is Alex Mason with Investment Banking Insights.